Hello, 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 everyone. We are here. We are live. And today we have with us Andy from True Blue Quilts, and of course, Jennifer, and also known as Mum, and myself. I just got a notice that the Cheeky Quilters are live.
There we go.
I'm sorry I missed last week. I forgot.
You forgot? That's just unacceptable, Jen.
I know it is. I was ashamed of myself. It was 7:30 and I could have jumped on, but I thought, oh, it's too late.
No.
What did y'all do?
Well, I don't know how long I stayed on last week. I can't remember. A lot of stuff happened since then. Jennifer likes to type messages too.
Yeah, I do.
Well, usually I can see it right up on my laptop with the camera, but
Yeah.
it's not showing
So,
up.
So what you working on tonight, Andy?
I started a new project this weekend, and I love pre-cuts, and I had never sewn with jolly bars before. That's a special pre-cut from Kim over at Fat Quarter Shop. But I was able to use them to make half rectangle triangles, which I'm turning into these scrappy diamonds. So
okay, say that again. Half
rectangle
triangle.
Yeah.
Okay.
HRTs. So
I like those.
Yep. A lot of my designs use HRTs. So any chance I get to try a new size is.
What will it be? A quilt or a wall hanging?
Yeah, I wanted to use the whole package. That's always my goal when I buy pre-cuts, is to be able to use the entire pre-cut to make one quilt. And yeah, it'll be 32 inches square. I can get 8 diamonds out of it. And then in my stash, conveniently, I had some extra fabric. And so I'll be able to make some additional borders and things and get it up to a nice lap size.
So
that's pretty big, 82.
They're called jolly bars. They're like half layer cakes, 5 inches by 10.
Oh, okay. 5 by 10. Okay. That was my next question.
Ooh, lots of people coming in. Nice to meet everybody.
Yeah. Nancy. Hey, Nancy. She's a regular. We have a few more people lurking in the background.
Oh, come on,
usually
lurkers,
they trickle in and just hey.
The Siberian wind.
And I'm totally blanking on your name, because I know you and I watch you. And tell me.
I know all of us tricky folks.
It's not Tammy, huh? No, Tammy, somebody else. Completely drawing a blank on that.
And are you?
Oh, it is Tammy. I can get it right. Okay. Yay! See, sometimes my memory is good.
And you don't know it.
Yeah. I have so much fabric, and it's organized by color in small bins, but they're pieces of random sizes. And I've seen other people say that they cut all of their scraps into like similar size pieces so that they can make a scrap quilt with them. And to me, that's just so much like time consuming. Do y'all do that? Anybody do that?
My mom has done that because there were some ladies in, and I don't know how local they are to Phoenix, but like they don't even have a website. So they have all these patterns. They're called the Lumber Yard Ladies. And they made all sorts of scrappy patterns for 2.5 by 4.5. And so my mom cut like half of her stash into these bricks, 2.5 by 4.5, and she's just churning out all these scrappy projects from that one size. So
that's efficient.
especially if you have an AccuQuilt. So
I do. I swear by it.
I knew as soon as you said it, she was going to get all excited. She loves the AccuQuilt.
Yep.
I love it. Do you have one, Andy?
I do. And I need to get a plan together and start prepping, but I am signed up for a stash sale. A friend of mine has a little shop and she's having, she's offering booth space to people for a weekend in the summer. And so I've been trying to, as I cut pieces with my AccuQuilt for other projects, to just go ahead and get all the leftovers into some easy sizes.
Yeah.
I love it for strip cutting. I mean, you can't beat it.
Right. And if you like, I have a lot of the different dies, so I can do the strips, I can do some of the half square triangles, and some of those easy components. And since I do a lot of projects with cotton cuts where everything is pre-cut, I'm really loving the speed. So it's incentivizing me to get those components ready. So, and
it's just so accurate for me. That's what it's about. It's just accurate.
Yeah. And
I always find it. Go ahead. I always find it so funny that you can cut and you think you're cutting absolutely perfectly straight lines, and you sew a perfect seam, and it comes out wonky. I guess it's the stretch of the fabric, and your eyes are not as good as we think they are. But I always think that's so funny.
Yeah, and I do remind my beginners that they have to hold the fabric all the way past the needle, because you get it halfway and you let go, and that's when you get those left turns.
Yes, that's one of the things actually I noticed on the project that I started last week that I'm finishing up, that I had a video out this week about. I noticed that my lines are so much straighter. And I talked about Karen Brown. I don't even know if this is in the video I put out yet or in the next one that's coming out, but Karen Brown from Just Get It Done Quilts does a really good tutorial on when you're sewing a piece. It's actually, there's 3 sections: the beginning, the middle, and the end. And I was like, I always have issues with the end.
Yep.
Yeah,
a couple of people, Tammy and Jennifer, are saying they don't cut down their scraps. And it's always one of those situations where it depends on what you want to do. I love digging in my scrap bins to pull different pallets together. And if it were already all cut in a size, the perfect fabric I love might not have enough for the new block I want to make.
Right.
Yeah, it's nice to have all your bases covered. And I certainly, as I look around the room that's overflowing with fabric.
And I do have separate piles too. So I have my stash, which is, pieces, and then I have scraps. But some of my in my scrap bag, which is one of those it's a huge bag. But sometimes I'll just throw big pieces in there. So I think I probably need to go through it and do something with it, because I'm always like digging, looking for something that's down there.
I wanted to ask you, Amber, what's the size of those pieces of cardboard that Annette had cut and that you started cutting yourself?
Oh, yeah.
That seemed like a good size. It was a particular size, and her daughter would wrap the scraps to keep them organized. It was just little pieces of cardboard.
Yeah, I've seen those that they make like mini bolts.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And so I use at Joann. Hey, Tasha. At Joann, I used to grab extra bolts. They would give them away, and then cut them into pieces, and then wrap my fabric around it. And I guess it's like 7 by what?
8.5 by 11.
What? 7.5 by 10.5.
And that works well.
Yeah, and I just wrap.
I think I want to do that. The scraps can get away from you very quickly.
And And like some people, they do these quilt videos, and behind them is so nice and pretty and
I know.
organized. And one day,
Uh-huh.
in fact,
Yeah,
before we came, hey Mona, before we came on today, I was like, is my background too distracting? Like,
well, a lot of times you'll see this nice like turquoise background on my videos, and I have shelves behind my sewing machine desk, and I just hung a piece of fabric.
That's a
About
good
like 2
idea.
yards, but now it's like I need to either go buy a wide back or buy a few more yards, because I have to edit to make sure I stay in the
right?
background and don't see the mess.
So in the room where my long arm is, there is a window. It looks like French doors that leads into where my husband sits and watches TV. So I have one of those quilt hangers. Well, like a backdrop thing, and I put quilts up. So if ever I'm in there and you see a quilt hanging in the back, that's just hiding my husband in his recliner.
Yep. Yep. We had to move the recliner out of the loft when I got the long arm. So husband he's relegated to
Well,
downstairs.
I stole his TV room for the long arm. So he used to sit on a couch and look at a big TV, and so we got rid of the couch, and I had to buy him a recliner. That was
The compromise.
that was the trade, yeah. So he got a pretty good deal out of it. And look, when we went to pick it out, I just said, whatever you want. I had a budget that I figured he'd stay within. Well, they were all 30% off. So he got like, it has a massage and a heater, and it's got like all the things.
Does he like the recliner better than that big sofa, though? Does he really?
Yes,
He
yes,
does?
yes, yeah,
Because that was a huge
yeah,
sofa.
So Mona is
yeah.
one of the people that all of the statistics say that are watching YouTube on TV. That's like the big subgroup of people that you either watch on your computer, you watch on your phone, or you watch on TV, which I think is a lot of quilters, because I know a lot of quilters have TVs in their sewing space and they'll just have the TV
Yeah.
on in the background. So thank you for watching.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mona. We have 15 people on. Yay.
Nice.
So just to give a update on what happened last week, the video that I put out earlier this week, and my redemption. Um so last week I started cutting, and I have been playing with my little triangle. I was cutting these triangles, and I'm gonna put them together, and I was cocky, like, oh, I work with triangles, it's not a problem. And so the first couple of blocks I put together, they were like, well, I forgot to account for that tip piece. And it was a really easy fix. I know a lot of people were making really good suggestions about how to make it work. I just needed to take my time and pay attention, and it absolutely. I'm gonna brag. My points. Well, this one's a little bit off, but most of them. I mean, look at this.
Ooh,
Very
yeah.
good.
Does it get better than that? I don't know. I don't know.
No, looking good.
This one's not so good. I'm not gonna show y'all that one. This one's really good.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I've made all of the wheels. Now I'm adding
In the corners.
the corners, right? And so some people did point out that Matt, and actually Donna Jordan, right before she passed, made this same block, the same quilt, and I think it is called Roundabout is their pattern, and it's a free pattern on their website. But the way that this pattern is written, half of the blocks are light colored, and it's like light to dark.
Mm-hmm.
Here on the Jordan pattern, what they do is they put the light squares on the light triangles.
Oh,
And
interesting.
it completely changes the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Zaza.
Hi, Zaza.
And so I might have to make this one again, because it is it was so easy and quick to make. Like,
Mhm.
I started it last Wednesday, and I have half
That's
of
a
the
lot of
box done
cutting.
with huh?
That's a lot of cutting in
Yes.
almost fussy cutting with those triangles, but
No. I mean, it's cut a strip and then just
and then you can flip it.
it goes pretty fast. Yeah.
Does
Um,
AccuQuilt have a triangle? No, really, I don't
They do,
know.
Jennifer, I'm sure they do.
they probably do.
I'll check it out,
I
Amber.
bet they do. Huh?
I'll check it out.
So half of them have the light corners, and those are all done. So I have 24 of these blocks done, not trimmed because I'm waiting because I'm gonna have one that's super tiny, and the rest of them are 8 inches. So I'm gonna wait
Right.
till they're all done. Find
Mhm.
the smallest one. Hey, Dawn, so nice to have you. So I'm gonna wait until they're all done before I start chopping. So
Yeah.
today I am adding the dark color.
I was just watching your video before we came on, and I'm thinking, Ma, you've done that very quickly.
It
when,
moves fast.
but when did you do that video? When did you start the video? Because you were wonky. Everything was wonky when you were doing it.
That's what I'm saying with it. So I cut the fabric last Wednesday. I sewed Friday night. We were in Baton Rouge Saturday. I didn't sew at all Saturday, and I sewed all day Sunday. And I think I finished the video editing and stuff on Sunday and Monday.
But you had already progressed with the pattern when you finished the video. Yeah.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
in the video you were
The,
still wonky.
yeah, after I finished the video, so since Monday, what's today, Wednesday, in the last 2 days, I made 48 of these.
Very good.
I
Oh,
know.
look at the cat.
This
Who's
is
who's the
this is
kitten?
hard. She doesn't usually come visit me. It's been quite a while since she wanted to be on camera, but
Well, she is very welcome. She looks like my grandcat.
she's my cat for sure. My husband's annoyed because he's quite the animal lover and she doesn't want to have anything to do with him.
Oh,
Yeah.
cats
So,
decide who
yes,
belongs to them.
we're crossing our fingers because my daughter fell in love with a kitten at her boyfriend's house. And so
Oh,
she's gonna try and bring, I couldn't talk her out of it because over the last 3 years, we've tried twice with kittens and my cat is not happy with, and so I'm really worried about her like marking territory
yeah.
and being aggressive towards the new animal and all that kind of stuff. But
Oh,
she's convinced, she's got a plan. She did her research online for how to introduce a new cat.
and it can be done.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a cat whisperer out there with
Oh
a
yes,
YouTube
there is.
channel.
Yep, there is. And we had tried keeping them isolated but the 19-year-old expert's critique of how we've done this is that we put the kittens in our bedroom, and that's where my cat traditionally slept. So we displaced the adult cat,
Oh, yeah.
and then we didn't keep
Let's have
them
our own space.
separated long enough. So she was
Trying it again.
yeah. So the kitten is gonna live in my daughter's room, and I'm like, that doesn't sound too great to me, but so yeah, there will be. Well, I'll introduce the new cat to everybody when she shows up.
We had a dog. I had a dog before my husband and I met, and
Mhm.
he said, before we even lived together, that dogs belong outside. Dogs don't go in the house, and you know how men are. Ruh, ruh, ruh. And then, obviously, the
Yeah.
the dog was in the house, and she passed, and so we decided that we like the freedom of not having an animal in the house that we have to worry about. But one day I am going to show up with a chihuahua. I don't know. Well, so a Chihuahua, because my son is in El Paso, which is borders Chihuahua, Mexico, the
Okay.
state of Chihuahua, and I love the license plates. Like every time I go and I see it, I was like, I need to bring one home.
Oh my goodness.
But I haven't yet. And the last time I went, like a couple weeks ago, I forgot to buy a little toy Chihuahua. I need one. But I did come home with some tamales, so
Yum.
I'm definitely gonna be needing.
Nobody told me that, Amber. You need
What?
to save
Oh,
tamales.
are you giving my age?
I meant 25.
Just telling people I'm 52.
Like that would make me old.
Today I was visiting with a family member of a patient, and I said something about my son being 26,
Mhm.
and he looked at me and he said, "You're not." He said, how are you old enough to have a 26-year-old child?" And I said, "And I was 27 when I had him." He thought I was 35. You think he was flirting with me, or did he really think I was that young?
How old is he?
Your age? Hey, he's got a camp in Toledo Bend. He goes fishing all the time.
I thought it was one of your patients, like at the nursing home or something.
It was his brother. It was the
Okay.
patient's brother.
Okay.
Yes. That's funny. So, Jen, you're not sewing today. You don't sew when we get
Everything's
together.
at the shop and I'm at home. So
Well, you can keep track while Andy and I sew. You can keep track of the what you call it?
monitor the
Monitor
gas.
the feed.
Okay.
And as I'm sitting here chatting with you ladies, I was thinking Tori and I need to have you on our podcast, Quilting on the Side, because it would be so fun to talk to another mother-daughter combo, because I have collaborated on quilts with my mom, and Tori and her mom are both quilters. So
Now, didn't your mom own a quilt shop?
she did for about 5 years. She had a fabric
Oh, no.
shop.
So what's
So
the
actually,
podcast called?
Quilting on the Side.
I love it.
it's
I'll check it
really
out.
good. It's really good. It comes up when I'm riding in my car, like it just flips through whatever podcasts have come out, and so I catch it that way, and it's always good. Like I've never listened to one where I like sped through it or anything. Like there's always good topics.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, we want to provide some business focused support to all the people out there who are trying to make money in the quilt industry. And there's so many different ways to do that. I have a long arm. I quilt for customers. I've dabbled in pattern design and podcasting and YouTubing and all the things. So
So and so without being too intrusive, is podcasting financially beneficial? Like I don't even know how that works. Is it kind of like YouTube? You send it out there and hope you get a few cents back?
it is not. There is no monetization of a podcast that I have found
Okay.
yet. So if I'm missing something, hopefully someone will tell me soon, because I would love that. So basically you have to get, some kind of sponsorship type thing going, and we have not done
So
that.
the people who make money, it's because they have sponsorships.
And it's one of those, like with a lot of different online business models, you want it to be a funnel. So Tori has a coaching program, and so she gets to know people through the podcast. They naturally will funnel into her business coaching program.
And after, was it last week, 2 weeks ago, a recent podcast, as because I'm driving when I'm listening, as soon as I parked, I was looking it up.
Yep.
Yeah. The other thing that Mom, I didn't tell you about that that I have been wanting to do for a long time. So for those of you who are familiar with me, you've probably heard me say that I started a YouTube channel because I believe that every quilt has a story and I want to tell the stories of the quilts. I love like that aspect of it. I went to an event yesterday and they were talking about there's a community oh, what did I call it? It's called Acadiana Open Channel. So what they do is they provide a space and cameras and basically a studio with all of the things in it, and then they assist you in producing,
Yeah.
whatever you want to produce. And so and you can do a series, you can go as much as you want, and it's like $60 a year. I mean, that's like free.
Nothing. Yeah. Yeah.
And their
And
equipment's
so they
very
have
good. It's professional
It's
equipment.
professional
Yeah,
videography, I mean, it's
yeah.
professional equipment. It's, like a news studio. A lot of people do interviews with people and things. And so I joined, and they have a class hopefully coming up. I need to call them specifically and talk about it. But I would like to go and learn more and do some interviews, bring some quilts, do some, the
Mhm.
lighting there is so much better than what I can do, and just learn
Well,
about
and
how to make
having that
the
studio
videos better.
so that you could like be back and showing,
Right.
here I am shoved in my little corner and I can only show a little bit of the quilt. So yeah,
Yeah.
having that studio
Yeah.
space would be really
And
fun.
the other thing that we talked about too earlier for before we went live was Stacy Lee Creative. I mean, huge applause for Stacy. She just hit 100,000 subscribers, and
Wow.
she is so kind and generous
Yep.
with herself and her time.
Amber, she
Um,
doesn't want to come on my podcast.
oh, did she?
I saw her in person at QuiltCon and I was like, Stacy, come on, I need to interview you. And she's like, no, I'm too shy. Okay, but
Right?
here she is crushing it with 100,000. She just got her silver plate.
Crushing it. And she started out when we were in Utah with her last year is how we met her. Um, she was laughing that she records everything in her living room or in her dining room. And so she'd move everything out of the way, do some production, and so it can be done. Yeah, I just think she's so inspiring. I truly enjoy watching her. And I watched her before we met her. I was kind of awestruck with a few of the people that were there.
Yeah. Yeah. I just have such great memories of that weekend that we got to spend together. The four of us having dinner and just talking. I think we talked for 3 hours.
It was awesome. It was truly it such a motivational experience for me to be around. What when I signed up for the retreat, I thought, I have no business being there. They're all like, and everybody was so generous. Like it didn't matter. You didn't even know. In fact, I was talking to, it was me and the girl who makes the sports quilts, and her name,
Jessica.
Jessica. Oh, love Jessica. So Jessica and I were talking, and this person walks up, and we're talking. I think the person that walks up is just another like retreat person, and it was one of like the big wigs. Like, and when I found out who it was, I was like, I looked at Jessica, and she was like, "I'm sorry, you just opened your mouth and started talking." But it's like they're so down to earth and awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah. I wish I could remember which one of them it was, but it was somebody like I have their patterns.
Well, I couldn't
Yeah.
believe, because I have been, and I have to say hi to Barry. Just
I know.
pop.
I was just about to put his comment up.
Yep. Yep. Good to see you,
Thanks
Barry.
for joining us, Barry.
But I have been blogging because I was telling Jennifer, my mom owned a quilt store and I worked with her, and that was 20 years ago. And I started my blog around the same time. So I've been like in the online quilt space for a long time. And so being in the same room, like chatting over the buffet line with Amy Smart, Diary of a Quilter,
Right.
fangirl, and now I'm Vanessa Christensen, the
Oh,
The Inco.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I think Amy Smart, it wasn't Amy that that I was talking to, but Amy, one of my most favoriteest patterns ever is from Amy. And it's the one with the Union Jack.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys have seen it. I purchased it, and then she came out with a different size, and I purchased it again, like the upgrade of it. Um, it's so well written and easy to follow. I haven't made it yet, but y'all know I just love to read the directions. Like I thought it was going to be complicated, and it is not at all. I'm
Yeah,
going to make it one day.
that's cool. That's cool.
Like I haven't even sewn anything yet.
I have been in the
I
background.
remember though.
All my diamonds together. So, but now
I
I
love
need
that.
because I made them so scrappy. I can't. I'm not confident in just pairing them up and finishing it. I want to lay it out and move things around, and so that's all.
I remember why. So as I'm sitting here, I remember last night why I stopped sewing is because my machine kept eating these points, and I was frustrated and tired, and so I just called it a night.
So what's your trick
so,
for how do you adjust when your machine eats your points?
I I cut the corners ever so slightly. If I can. You can't always do that. The other thing is I pick the foot up, slide it in as far as it'll go, put the foot down. So every new piece I'm lifting the foot and putting it down, and that seems to work.
Yeah. I always if I'm running into those problems and I try those things, I also slow way down so that I like almost hand crank those first couple stitches to get the fabric started. And then,
So is part of the issue when it starts eating like that is going too fast?
Well, I think it's just that the fabric isn't secure on the feed dogs yet because of that angle. And so you need to get the needle onto the fabric so that it doesn't chop it down into the bed.
So I did snip, like I said, like I was showing you, I did snip the corners of some of them. Now, when I go to trim these pieces, hopefully that is not going to be an issue. I don't think it will.
Shouldn't be, I wouldn't think.
Because, I have that much space. So that's why I'm thinking it'll be fine.
Yep.
So I do use a leader for the very first stitch, but it'll even eat it when I'm chain piecing in the middle of the chain.
Yeah.
So a straight stitch plate.
Yes, and I've had Tammy, unfortunately, I've got my straight stitch plate on the machine right now, and it was eating some of the points on my half rectangle triangles. But yeah, so the straight stitch plate has just a single hole, whereas the normal plate has more of a horizontal hole so that you can do zigzag.
Yes, so I do not have a straight stitch plate on it right now.
Yeah. But that
like
help.
If I'm
it's
doing
not 100% is all I'm saying.
Literally hundreds of these because there's 48 squares
times 4
with 4 on each one. What's 4 times 48?
That would be almost 200.
Almost 200. Yeah. I can't handle the pressure. Math in public. I'm a social worker. Lift the foot and layer the point of the triangle. Yeah, that's what I do. Every time. Lift it, and it works.
He's saying not
but
just
I was getting cocky.
To layer the point of the triangle over the previous piece. So you have to leave the piece.
Oh, I see what you. Oh, yeah.
So.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I lift it. They're not attached. I leave a little bit of space, but lifting the foot every time really does work.
Yeah.
Yeah, stop it with a needle down. Do that.
Very, very good tip.
All the things. And yet,
And there's still, you know, because it's fabric and it doesn't behave all the time.
But I'm really pleased. Okay, so for those of you who weren't here when I talked about my redemption from my wonky quilt video earlier, I just want to point out that my points are matching up, y'all. Look at that. Ugh.
Doing
Not
awesome.
all of them are this perfect, but most of them are. Oh yeah. Yeah. Right? Don't you love those points? Thank you.
Yeah.
I did it for the compliment. Y'all know I need
Always.
positive reinforcement here.
Yeah.
And I said on the video, the wonky kaleidoscope quilt video, I said, by the time I get to the end, I'm gonna know what I'm doing. And sure enough, it took about 5 or 6 blocks to really get it going. And then like it was fine after that. I was very impressed with myself.
So I finished my
Yeah,
diamonds and I knew I needed another just kind of easy project. So I had cut way back in what, January or February, I cut a bunch of pieces for some log cabins for Quilts of Valor.
Oh yeah.
So I can start sewing that, but I don't have a ton of
So
fabric.
Jennifer and I decided to skip. Oh yeah, those flying geese. They are the worst. Jennifer and I decided not to do a t-shirt quilt Tuesday in May. We took May off. But in June, did we say we'd do the second Tuesday?
I don't recall what day.
So it's if I remember correctly, June the 10th, the second Tuesday of June will probably be our t-shirt quilt Tuesday. And I am going to go out and I'm going to do something brave, y'all. So there is a Too Cool t-shirts. We've talked about her and we have her book, and I'm going to reach out to see if she or someone from her business, because I know they employ a lot of people, wants to come and talk about the very controversial to interface or not to interface those t-shirt quilts.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I would love to have her on and have her talk about you know, not use, because she does not use interfacing.
Wow.
And is pretty adamant about not using it. And so I'd love to just have a conversation, you know, oh, look at that.
I love
I like that.
log cabin.
The blocks I'm making for Quilts of Valor. So
I love that pattern.
How many projects do you have going on right now?
Well,
is that too personal? Should I not ask?
No, I am the worst at starting and then setting aside. So like right in like arm's reach, I have 4. Because I have the diamonds I just showed you, the Quilt of Valor. I've got my temperature quilt, actually 5. Then I've got my Floral States of America and my other Cotton Cuts block of the month. So there's 5, like just within 3 feet. And then I've got a bookcase that's got several more started quilts. And then I've got like all the tops that are almost done, like maybe need one more border, are in another pile in another quarter. And then I've got the 27 of them over by my long arm that haven't been quilted yet.
Did I hear you? Who was it today I was watching a video today. Oh no, it was Jessica. Jessica, are you on right now? Or Jess. She was saying that she makes a lot of blocks and then doesn't put them into quilts.
I
I
have
love
a
that.
whole cubby of my orphan blocks because especially as a YouTube creator, you want to do a tutorial and you get one block done for the tutorial and then you never finish a whole quilt. So, yeah.
I love that. I'm inspired.
You're
So
not
I don't think I
alone.
saw Jess on, but if she is, like, shout out.
Does the lady that does the Too Cool quilts, does she use batting?
Oh yeah. It's a regular quilt. She just doesn't put the interfacing on the t-shirts. But everything else is
The
it's
same.
a true quilt, not a blanket.
Okay.
I love that, Tammy. An orphan block quilt. I if any so at the beginning of the year, Jen and I sat down and set some sort of goals and what do we want to do, and so I talked about some of the things I wanted to do, especially on these lives, was to create pick random patterns from the Encyclopedia of Quilt Blocks, which I picked 2 of them, and I made one of the blocks, love it, tried to make the quilt, and actually it's a very cute and easy block. I happen to have it. Look how cute this is.
Oh, yeah.
Nice colors.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to make a full quilt. Well, that's sitting in my orphan block area over there. But I was thinking about that, about still wanting to do that and using up only my my scrap bag, because I have so much scrap and so much fabric. Like, I feel guilty chopping up yardage when I have all of these scraps, and I love scrappy quilts. And
Yeah.
so I'm hoping that I can start doing that again, making some random blocks. Because I
Yeah.
think the other thing I'd like to do, and I'm rambling now, in case y'all haven't
What you do
noticed.
on a live.
The other thing I'd like to do is make those random blocks and then make tote bags. Because Jennifer and I do we sell stuff either at her shop or at festivals and markets, and tote bags and purses sell. So, like, if the orphan blocks are great for that.
Pouches. Zipper pouches would be perfect with orphan blocks.
Yeah.
That's a great
Stupid
idea.
zippers.
I say that, and I've only done 2 zippers in my entire life. So
Actually, I was very intimidated by zippers and what are those pockets called where they kind of are hidden? But I've done it a few times, and it's really not as intimidating as we think of it. It's more intimidating than hard, I guess. And our Joanne is going to be closing soon. I went recently and got a bunch of stuff. I spent $40, and like the total would have been like $120.
yeah.
So, but they have a lot of zippers. So I may go again this week, maybe tomorrow, and just grab up all the zippers that are like 80% off right now.
Yep. That's the way.
They still have a lot of fabric. Oh, buttonholes. Yeah, I'm still intimidated by the buttonholes.
And that's why I
I
don't
did-
do garment sewing, because they have too many tricky things. Cotton fabric and straight lines.
Yeah.
Your Aunt Sarah likes to use those old-fashioned buttonhole from the Singer machines. They're little metal things. I don't know how. I've never done it, but she's very good at it. I've asked her to teach me. Although I don't do buttonholes, so I don't know why I want to learn that.
I've tried once. It wasn't hard. I was mostly terrified that the needle was going to hit the
metal.
little space, the
Yeah.
metal. And so I was, yeah. Oh, I just thought it was scary. I never did it again.
So another funny random thing, I have a bunch of quilt themed t-shirts. This one just has like, it's an Ohio Star block across. And one of my favorites says quilter, and each of the block letters is like made of little quilt blocks. And I had to stop at Walmart on my way home. And at Walmart, 2 different guys looked over and said, "Nice shirt." So, it just is.
I don't have enough quilt shirts.
Maker Valley. I get all of my fun quilt shirts from Maker Valley.
Maker Valley.
Check that out. Jennifer, write that down.
I'm writing it. Amber, tell them a story about the guys that like your jackets.
Oh, men, like when we go to a festival, we have, a booth selling stuff. It's music festivals that we go to, so it's not craft fairs. We're usually the only textile artists there. I think recently they've had a little bit more people selling stuff, but mostly it's, glass and metal work and candles
jewelry
and things.
Yeah.
Jewelry. And men, when I have quilted jackets, the men want the quilted jackets. And their wives are like, "You don't need that." And the wives get all embarrassed and pull them away. But
they'll try them on even and really like them. They're like, "Well, look at this." It's very interesting. Just like them liking Andy's t-shirt. I find that interesting.
The other thing, we get a lot of, and kind of the story why I want to do like the storytelling about quilts is men will stop and want to talk about their grandmothers who quilted or their aunts, and they get real nostalgic and they want to touch it. They're touching that
they're very interested in the machine and the machines.
Yeah, and the machines.
Yep. Yeah, it was really
funny. They all want to tell the stories.
When I was a high school teacher, I wanted to expose the kids somehow to quilting, and I actually set up a community service day with National Honor Society, and I brought my machine, and we set up in one of the big lecture halls, and so and the girls were kind of interested, but the boys loved using the sewing machine. Give me a power tool.
That's so funny.
Go, zoom. So
I had another friend when I lived in Arizona who was a smoke jumper, and so he was, he was not a burly guy, obviously, because the guys who do smoke jumping, they, jump out of airplanes to dig ditches to prevent fires from spreading. Yep. And so he fell in love with sewing because they had to mend their own parachutes. Mm-hmm. And so he just loved sewing from mending his parachute.
Oh, that's so funny.
I just thought that was so cool. Yep. He and I, bonded over that.
A lot of guys
had a busy day. I think she had a live as well today.
Who is that?
Mona.
Oh, she had to
Mona
leave.
Did
yeah.
What? I don't know if that's how she intended it to sound, but every time I see it in my head, I say, "Mona did what?" Oh, and the other thing that I won, I think it was for my birthday month, maybe, or I won for wearing a name tag at the Quilters Guild meeting. Whatever it was that I won a little sussy, and so I picked a new pincushion because one could never have enough pincushions.
That's very, very true.
Isn't it cute?
Yep. I won this one in a gift basket during a shop hop. It's one of those fancy flower ones.
That's cute.
Oh, I've never seen those.
And then another friend of mine made a tiny one. It's still downstairs, but out of some little, she called them salt cellars. They're tiny little dishes, and she turned them into pincushions. They're so adorable. You know, anytime you make something really tiny, it's yes, and your
This
teacup.
was my
I think that was
favorite.
one of the first
I did a
videos.
video. Do what?
That was one of your first videos that I ever came across. Was,
Yeah. And so I actually made 2 videos. The first one I was learning how to do it, and the second one is better. But I have walnut shells and lavender,
nice.
and it still smells.
I was just thinking about that. Did you remind me of the process? Did you put like flour foam underneath? Because I'm thinking it would take an awful lot of walnut shells to fill up the whole teacup.
I put
So
batting.
did you put some other batting? Yeah, that makes sense.
And sort of made a cup. Hey, Kelly.
So since we're showing pincushion, I got this fun funky pineapple one at QuiltCon.
Let me see if I have
That
one.
was so cute. Oh, Jennifer, look.
These are my favorite. I have tons of these. I buy them every time I see them.
And now
reminds me of my mom.
You're gonna laugh. And this one's all dirty because it's been sitting in the corner of my sewing room where I never dust. But I made this one. This was my attempt at a.
I like it.
And it's
It works.
Like funky,
It
lumpy.
looks like a muffin.
Oh my God. Ridiculous.
And also, I use this is just a stuffed animal that my grandson gave me. And one day he was sitting on the side and I couldn't find any of my other ones. So I just started putting pins in him. So now I use him as a pin cushion. Like he even has a clip on his ear.
How about this one?
Oh yeah, those are good. The finger.
Oh, on your finger.
Nice.
I love these. These work well.
Yep. Very handy.
The other thing that happens is I grew up. Well, not really grew up. I guess since you've been sewing, Mom, you drop pins all over the place, and she'll come over and have pins in her shirt.
Oh,
And
yes.
I
Look,
do
I
it
have
now
one right
too.
here.
Look,
I have one right here. When they fall on, they fall on my desk or something on my table, I'll just put them there.
Doing that, I am, and I'm breaking my own rule. I'm sewing barefoot today, and I usually don't because I have a bad habit of if pins fall on the floor, then they're in the carpet and don't get picked up. But a friend of mine in college I guess he was sewing on a button or something, and he dropped his knee and he stepped on it and had to have surgery to remove the needle from his foot. So
oh goodness,
I don't ever walk around.
Didn't that happen to Julia?
I don't know, but Aunt Juanita, she's had to go to the hospital a couple of times for needles.
Yeah. Well, so now anytime I drop a pin, my husband will say, "Damn it, Jennifer."
That's just not a fair thing. I might have done that once or twice, and now I have this bad reputation.
Yep.
It's funny.
I have done enough binding on the couch that if I leave a quilt, my daughter and my husband will ask. They're like, is this safe or did you leave? Because they've both been stabbed by picking up something that I was binding on.
Yeah, you don't care about the humans, just the dogs.
Right. The dogs, yeah, take care of the animals.
That's right. That's right. So I was like, I don't remember if I even fixed the problem today since I started sewing again. Oh, the other thing I got at Joanne that was super, super sweet. Super, super cheap that I needed. I didn't know I needed it till I saw it, and I was like, oh my God, I need that. Is the a bobbin case. It was like $2, $1.50, maybe something like that.
Did you only buy one?
Hurry, go back.
But they had a ton of them.
I'll be going Friday. I have so many bobbins. I just like to have lots of them. I kept ordering them. Now I have tons of them. Yeah, I like those too.
I have my own donut one.
Yeah.
Holder.
I have one of those for my long arm. The donut one.
And see, I have the donut one for my domestic, and I use a bigger box for my M class for my long arm.
Now I had a smaller box for the bobbins, and it didn't have enough space. So this one's really good, and like you can flip it, like they're nestled in there pretty good.
And it's so cute. If you know Pride and Joy Quilting, she won at QuiltCon for her Joan of Arc paper quilt. Her sons have their own little business now making bobbin boxes. They 3D print them.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Sweet.
So she wrote the pattern for the Rosie the Riveter quilt that I did was from
Pride
her.
and Joy?
It's a small one.
Okay. Nice.
And I have the elephant. It's called the Matriarch is the name of the pattern. And it uses 30 plus different colors. And one day, maybe.
Yeah. I have a Violet Craft giraffe paper pieced pattern that has tons of. I haven't quite decided what color scheme I want to use. If I want to go like do browns and tans, natural looking giraffe, or if I want to make him funky.
I love like when they use all the bright colors. The elephant has bright colors.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody know? So she gives reference numbers for Moda solid fabrics.
I haven't ever seen one of her patterns, so someone else is going to have to chime in on that one.
Yeah, no, and so I'm wondering if you go like to Moda, can you buy a pack? She doesn't do.
Yeah, I know Legit Kit sells packs, but
because it's all solid colors because there's so many of them, like 30 plus different fabrics.
Who is it, Amber?
On the Moda website.
Who is it you're talking about?
Pride and Joy. Is it Pride and Joy Quilting? I think is the name of it.
Yeah.
Oh, Zaza, you have this bobbin box? I love it. Like now I feel like I need more bobbins. I'll go steal some from Jennifer.
They may not, my machines won't be compatible with yours.
Oh.
Maybe.
And I'm just like since I'm not sewing, speaking of random things here, the other thing that I think that I would like to make to sell or you're nodding yes. I heard you. Or rosary bags. Those are fairly popular from what I've heard. People who make them sell them. I was at visiting with a patient this week, and she had a it was like a blue and gold unquilted, like just two pieces of fabric kind of sewn together over her with a beautiful cross embroidered on it, and then she had the rosary on top of it, and she's nonverbal, and so she was laying there, and somebody had placed the rosary on the blanket on her, and I thought, oh, that was so pretty. I thought we could probably do something like that if Jennifer ever learns how to use her embroidery machine.
Yeah, just a little drawstring pouch.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the rosaries. For us Catholics.
The pressure's on.
The pressure.
I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to pray.
Pray about it. So, oh, I forgot what I was going to say. It was really important, I'm sure.
I've seen the rosary bags crocheted with very fine thread. Those are pretty too. A lot of
Oh,
people do
wow.
those. Yeah.
You could never get your money back for selling those.
No, it's a gift of love.
Right?
Yeah. Zaza said, pray to St. Jude.
Oh, I love St. Jude. I pray to him every day. One of my cousins told me not to pray to St. Jude. I think she was confusing him with Judas.
Oh, oh,
That's
dear.
insane.
It's true.
That's funny.
Was she a blonde Catholic?
You know, here in South Louisiana, we're all Catholic. There's like our Catholic population is
The majority,
by far,
by
like,
far,
you know,
yeah.
you assume people are Catholic until they tell you otherwise.
Right.
And my husband is not from here. He's from Texas and he's Baptist. And when we first were first married, we had quite a few deaths in the family. And so when you're Catholic and people die, you go to say the rosary at the funeral home. And after about the third or fourth funeral, when he's sitting next to me, I know, isn't that funny, Kelly? Blonde Catholic. He's sitting next to me and they're about to start the rosary. And I said, no, so one of the last ones, he was like, I said, it's almost over. We're on the last
Decade.
set. And he was, oh, thank God. You know, thank God. And so for the next funeral, I was like, you don't have to sit in here. Go in the kitchen. And he was like, man, he got out of there so fast. He's like, you Catholics. Oh, he's like, I don't know. It lasts forever. I was like, 15 minutes. Sit
Yeah.
quietly, child.
Yep. Yep. Oh, funny. Funny, funny. Those. I was just talking to another quilt friend and I know the Catholic churches do them just like the Protestant churches, the vacation Bible school in the summer. And there are quite a few faith-based quilt designers. And I was thinking, you know, we need to make a quilters VBS summer program so we can all get together and, you know, sing our camp songs and do our arts and crafts and learn our Bible verse.
Our town,
you know,
our town is so small that we've just started having working together with other churches, and we've only been doing that recently. Where before, no, we didn't go to their services; they didn't come to ours. But now it's like I really like it. I like that we're doing it.
Okay, so I don't know if Tammy is still on. But I just tried overlapping my my points from one to the next, and it worked really well.
Oh, nice. So for all the people that joined after our discussion of machines eating your triangle points.
Yes. So we talked about all the different ways to avoid your machine eating. And so what Tammy from Siberian Wind suggested is that you overlap the points and just continue straight through, comme ça, so that the machine doesn't get a chance to eat.
That's a
So I
great
tried
tip.
it and it worked. The other thing that I usually do is pick the foot up, push it in, and go. Let's see if it works the second time. Yeah, it did. I thought for a second it wasn't going to, but it did. It didn't work. Why would he complain? Yeah, because he does. See, this is why I can't sew when I'm on.
You have to focus too hard.
Yes.
Well, that's why you have other people on the live. And then
Yes.
I always find that I'm talking to
It works
myself
really well.
as I'm sewing, and I realize that I'm mumbling, and so nobody can hear me anyway as I'm over here going, okay, just work.
Yeah. I was being impatient and not really paying as close of attention. So what I did yesterday too, I've been feeling I don't know that overwhelmed is the right word, like, but just a lot of clutter in my brain recently, a lot going on. And so I was sewing yesterday. My husband is out of town, and there's no TV, no sounds, no music, nothing, just the sewing machine and me. And it was so nice. Um, so sorry if I missed anybody's live stream, but it was just kind of quieting the. I realized I couldn't. None of my podcasts sounded good. I didn't want to listen to them. There was nothing on TV, and I was like, "Well, why am I fighting it? Why can't I? Why do I have to listen to anything?"
Yep.
And I didn't, and it was nice.
You're enjoying the process.
I did.
That's what she tells me all the time because I'm always rushed. I want to finish everything, and I'm trying to enjoy the process.
So the joy isn't necessarily only in finishing the quilt. The joy is in making the quilt.
That's what they say.
Those people.
I thought that would be a good tagline for a quilt business. Joy in the making.
Ah, that is.
Yeah.
So if somebody out there wants to steal it, there you go.
I was thinking I was going to offer it up, but you thought about it, so I didn't say anything. But now that she's given permission, use it up.
Yep.
So I this week am spending money on advertising for our quilting business. I bought an ad in a dance recital review program.
Yeah.
And what was the other? Oh, in our Quilters Guild. They reached out and wanted to know if we wanted an ad. So I said, of course.
There you go.
In the newsletter? For the newsletter?
In the newsletter, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So that's monthly. So we just need to talk about what exactly we want to put in there.
And Zaza had a good point. Some quilts you definitely want to finish.
True. Very, very true.
Oh, yes. There's definitely been some quilts that I just, if they weren't for someone, I probably would never have finished them because I just did not enjoy them. Or they were so big, by the time I got to the end, I was done.
I wanted to throw one away. I mean, I just wanted to throw it away because it was the first time I had done points and I had cut them off because I was used to cutting off half the t-shirt. But I salvaged it and I gave it to Laurel and Christina. But it was it was flying geese and those points and that just was not working out. It was wonky like yours in the beginning.
Yeah. I do have a baby quilt that I need to make. My cousin Casey and his wife Jen just had a baby.
Ah.
They for years didn't think they could have babies, and then I guess they're in their early 40s maybe, and just had a baby.
Oh, that's nice.
I know.
Is it a boy or a girl?
A boy. Yes, definitely a one and done quilt. That's how I feel about some of the t-shirt quilts that I make. I did work on that t-shirt quilt that I've been working on forever. This week, all the pieces are cut. I just need to sew them together.
I have one like that for you also.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, you do.
It's all cut. It's nicely stacked. Is that for Cameron or it's fine you?
For Kennedy.
Oh,
The one I have it here that I need to finish is for a client, like somebody is paying for it, so I need to get it done. The other thing that I wanted to that I was thinking about, somebody that we met in Utah was I think it's the Quilter's Mill. She makes edge to edge pentagraph designs, and I had talked to her about doing an alligator for me. I said, because I can't find an alligator edge to edge, and so I really need to reach out to her, and because I told her that I would kind of mock something up, to give her an idea about what I'm looking for, and then and do that, and also someone that I went to high school with was saying that they had a quilt made, and they put the name of the city. I want to say it was Chattanooga, Tennessee. Just that was the quilting. It just said the name of the city and the town, the
that's
location
cool.
was the quilting. Yeah. I thought that was really cool. I looked to see if my program on my machine would do that, and
You
it might, but
you
I
ready?
don't think I can make it an edge to edge. It would be more like an embroidery.
Because I do all my long arm is hand guided, so you certainly could just write the name over and over and over again in your script as you.
Amber can do that.
I don't know. I don't trust my
Your cursive.
No, I was talking about your little signature thing in the corner for one quilt when you were practicing. It was obscene.
Yeah, I was like, it might have been a curse word.
Is that how filter name?
Another thing I've done is written notes on the batting in a quilt.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's a neat.
Like always nice and good vibes, like peace, love, kind of notes on the batting that won't show through. Like in the Sistine Chapel, didn't somebody paint their face in there or something? Like it's hidden in a tree or something.
Yeah.
Whoever the artist was that finished it.
Right. My I'm doing a floral quilt for a friend of mine. And well, the fabric is like all these green leaves, and then she's got some birdhouses that she did like improv piecing and stuff. So we were discussing the quilting, and then when after we met, and she emailed me a few days later, and she was like, I was looking for patterns online, and I found this one that was all marijuana leaves for an edge to edge. And she's like, I don't want that all over, but maybe just one in the corner.
Just one.
Subtle.
Right?
That's funny.
And I'm like, all you hippies from the 60s are now quilting with marijuana fabric.
We Jennifer and I talked about doing a business with obscene
backroom type
it's a
thing.
business now. Dropping F-bombs all over everything from socks to calendars and t-shirts.
Yeah. I'm still old-fashioned enough that I don't need the F-bomb in my face all the time. What was I gonna say? Oh, I'm giving everybody all my business ideas tonight. Since you had mentioned some of the questionable things, for a long time I've wanted to make a word of the day calendar that was all the like 5-letter PhD words, very academic, for August through May, and then your June, July, and August are all going to be euphemisms for sex, because you're reading those steamy romance novels in the summer. So you don't need those big words.
That's a great idea.
That is funny.
But it would be because and the reason I have always had that in the back of my mind, because in one of my college classes, this one girl wanted, like, every time she spoke and commented on anything, she had to use the word didactic. My dad, and I don't even know what that word means. You sound smart, but I don't know that it's appropriate in this
That's
context.
funny. So I taught dialectical behavioral therapy forever. And so I had to look that word up. Like I was like, okay, like there's no really good definition of it. And I guess because my education is not in education. And so when you're teaching things, going into the whole pedagogy or the teaching aspect of it, oh, made my brain hurt. I don't do that anymore. I should do a series on the emotional benefits, the mental benefits of quilting. I did
Yeah,
a session. Maybe one week we can talk about that on our live. That could be our topic.
Oh, looky there. I love the
Lovely.
colors.
Did you just make another one while we were talking?
Yeah, I finished this. Well, I was chain piecing, and then I ran out of this length strip. So
Oh, okay.
I've got a bunch of partial blog.
I sewed one this whole time we're on. I'm so easily distracted.
No, that's great. That's great. Very nice. I think you made a good choice with that, keeping that consistent cream.
Yeah, I think it's gonna look really good. And my cousin is concerned that the colors are darker than what she wanted. But also I think it might be the lighting. I think once it's all quilted and so much white together, I think it's really gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you need some contrast. If all the colors are too light, then it doesn't
For sure.
you can't see that contrast, especially with all the swirls. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Zaza. I've collected patriotic fabrics for quite a while. Obviously, I've got a good blue stash.
So I'm curious for you ladies and even in the comments, what color is your stash? Like you said, you have a lot of blues. When I organized all my fabrics, I have small tubs of everything and a huge tub of blue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have blues and turquoises, and then I have at least one bin of every color, like big wrapping paper size, the big deep 3-foot big bins.
Yeah.
So
blue and pink, Zaza says.
Nice.
Thank you, Kelly. Yeah, mine, I have tons of red and blue. And then the other colors, I have an appropriate amount.
What's appropriate? I'd rather.
Tis the question. Blues, pinks, and whites, Nancy says. So when I was at Joann Fabric this week, because who needs more fabric?
But it'll never be cheaper than it is right now.
I like that.
And so I don't have a whole lot of orange, and I'm always running out of yellow. Yep. And the other thing I noticed is that my stash is very bright colors. All of my colors are bright and bold. So when my cousin said she wanted this quilt to be more kind of muted, I was like, I don't have
right.
So I took that and got me some muted colors.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice.
What colors do I have,
so
Amber?
I'm not alone. What's that?
What colors do I have, Amber?
Purple, green.
Well, purple and orange because of LSU. We do so much for them, but I like greens and browns and muslin.
The muslin.
She doesn't like it.
She puts muslin in everything. Blues and pinks. Yeah, I don't really have a lot of pinks. And I definitely don't have a lot of oranges. Which is why I bought the orange. I did buy a bolt of a tonal pink because the quilt, Jennifer, that you have for Kennedy, she wants pink on the back. So I bought a bolt. Because that's how because you can't just buy what you need.
It's so much cheaper by the bolt. I mean, it's when you want just a few yards, it's ridiculous to
So
to
I do have a
buy.
lot of pink now, but yeah,
So
that's
one
an
of the
interesting.
finish, Amber.
No, I was just saying it's interesting to think about like what's our go-to color. Definitely
Mhm.
mine's blue and red,
Mhm.
bright
I
colors.
was
Yeah.
in a class years ago, and they had you like pull out fabrics that you don't really like and then fabrics that you do, and that was and just do like a little 2-inch checkerboard block of, and same thing, it was like I put all the kind of browns and dulls and not, I mean, Civil War to an extent. I do like some Civil War prints, but more the purples, and not the browns and reds from that era. And then all the nice, bright, modern jewel tones were on the favorites list.
Yeah. I definitely the bright colors.
That's interesting that Zaza doesn't have. She's got either the pastels or the brights and nothing in the
Right.
middle. Sometimes it's
I
hard
did
to find those middles.
I did once want to make a black and white quilt with like red or something like that. So I do have a lot of black and white and red, either black and white or the black, white, and red. And so I have that. But I don't. It's not my go-to. Like I bought it specifically for a quilt that I wanted to make that I never made.
Mm-hmm. I know we have all of those. That,
It was probably on sale.
yeah. I have yards and yards of. You remember Laurel Birch? She did those really stylized animals.
No.
You see, we see them at least out here in the Western U.S. She's done some cats and horses and just really fanciful, like really, I don't know. She puts a lot of metallics in her stuff, and they've been licensed, so you'd probably recognize it if you saw it.
What is it? What is it?
Laurel Birch, Burch. She's done socks and purses and all that kind of stuff. But I have yards of this stuff that has like mermaids and fish, because I was gonna make a fabric shower curtain. So I have it, but I never got around to making the shower curtain, and now it was for the bathroom that's now my daughter's, and so it does, I can't impose my choices on her. So
So
I should.
Dawn says she has cat fabric.
Cats.
I'm not necessarily a cat person, but cat people love their cat stuff. And so I came across some cat fabric once upon a time and made some bags and purses out of it. And it sold so fast.
Well, and when my mom had her fabric shop, we were discussing this, because same thing, the cat fabric always sells, but the dog fabric isn't quite as popular as cat fabric. And it's not that cat people are more passionate. It's that dog lovers are breed specific. So like you were saying, Chihuahua, you would not buy dog fabric that had a Saint Bernard on it because you love Chihuahuas. Right. Cats all have the same colors, of course. You've got your tuxedos, like my kitty you saw earlier is black and white, or you have the calicos, or you have the gray tabbies, or the orange ones. But you can put a generic cat face.
You absolutely
everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I had a what are they called? The little Scotties.
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine had one, and she said, "Oh, if you put that on anything, I will buy everything." And like little weenie dogs, people who own weenie dogs, they will buy anything and everything with a weenie dog on it. A dachshund, whatever they're called. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, no. Yep, Zaza, that's the way it goes. Yep, and Nancy.
No, see?
Cat people like all the cat fabric. So yeah.
Well, this was so fun, Andy.
It sure was. Thank you for having me. Fun.
And thank you for staying on for an hour and a half. You're a trooper. We were talking tonight. I was having fun.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot of fun. I'm sorry you didn't get more sewing done, but it's always nice to just sit and chat.
It is. It is. Definitely enjoyed it. Oh, Delia, you just joining us? We about to sign off.
Yeah, you'll have to catch the replay.
Yeah,
It's like,
catch
hi,
the
bye.
replay, catch the replay. And so hopefully by the end of the week, maybe Saturday, I will have the video of my redemption. So if you haven't watched the video of my wonky kaleidoscope, go watch it so that you can be dazzled and amazed by my redemption video.
Yes, the points are beautiful. Out of the
So it'll be
ashes.
a series of like 3 videos probably, because I have one where I'm redeeming myself, and then I'll do a final with it
Yeah.
all together.
And that quilt
So
is due here in a week or so?
it's due on the 18th. Yes.
Oh,
No, not the 18th, the following week. So
okay.
I'll have it finished this weekend, and then she'll get it next weekend. Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Very nice.
All right, guys. Well, everybody have a great night. Thank you so much for joining us, and have a great week. Peace
Yep.
out.
See you next Wednesday.
Yeah. Yes.